Hello and welcome back to this video series. We're installing Centrify HyperScalable Privileged Access Service. In the previous video, we created our management server. So the process to do the installation, it goes like this. You need to create an installation that is bound to the FQDN that you want the service to respond to. Then you create a deployment that is based on the version that you want to deploy. Then you distribute the files over, activate each node, and then activate your deployment. So in this step, what we're going to do is we're going to use the Centrify PAS new installation script to be able to do this. Like every new PowerShell or CLI on Unix Linux, sometimes they can be a little bit intimidating, but it's all a question of practice and breaking down things. So this is how I broke down Centrify PAS new installation. There's a quick way for you to do this using a config file, but the more we do things manually, the better we get at it. So the parameters that you need, none of all the parameters are required because you can always use the -conf and specify a configuration file. But in here, what are the key critical parameters are host name, the certificate, and if there's a password, the database server, the database user, the password for the database, the port. If you want to give the database a name, you can use DB database. What's the Redis or cache server, the port for the cache server, the initial administrator name, the password, and the email. And then there's other parameters that you could use, like if you're going to use a config file, like I said, if you're going to add a license, you need a company name and a license key. And if you're going to be using a root CA. There's other parameters related to, for example, Azure compatibility, because the way a managed Postgres in AWS is different than the way it is in Azure. That being said, we're going to cheat here. I already kind of have the command in memory. So let's go ahead and do this. So I believe that I've done this before. And like everybody else, I have failed, but it's all about question of grit, right? So notice that I am just basically populating the simple things here. I'm going to get rid of this database lab. After reading the help, I realized that I don't actually need this. So I'm going to just run it with minimum number of parameters. So here it is. And what's going to happen here is that the configuration, the certificate is going to be created, and all the files are going to be put in the proper place. And when we're done, we're going to inspect what was created. I'm going to pause for a second and go from there. Actually, I didn't have to pause because it was super quick. So notice here the output. It created the initial tenant, right? And it's super quick because it created a new installation called lab.centrify.demo.net. So if I inspect the folder here, notice that under installations, I have the configuration. There's no deployments. The config files are here. This config file, I can refer to it. Not going to open it, obviously. The next step is super simple. We're going to run the new deployment command in the next video.